Today on this CyberJA podcast, we have Nelson Collins, a cybersecurity and GRC professional within the industry, and someone who has a vast amount of experience. I mean, approximately 15 plus years of experience within the industry, having worked in various sectors in terms of entertainment, marketing, technology, and the list goes on. And for sure, he definitely has a wealth of experience, the challenges that he would have encountered, and also more so his journey in terms of his story behind how it is that he actually arrived to where he reached. And that one of the things that we try to do on the CyberJA show to share those experiences. I like to hear those experiences of how it is that we actually navigated our way. And more so for those who are listening, who are trying to get into the cybersecurity space, to recognize that it is not something that we as professionals actually just reach to where we are, but there are some obstacles, there are some challenges, there are some particular verticals along the way that we navigated. So Nelson, thanks for taking that time to share with us today on CyberJA.
Thank you so much for having me on board. First, I must commend the amazing work that you're doing. I'm actually a fan. I go through your posts and I see the amazing information you churn out there for people in cybersecurity. I've seen different guests that you've had on your show, quite enlightening conversations. I must say that you're really doing a good job, and wishing you more success. And I hope that my conversation today will be very helpful and informative too.
Awesome. And I definitely look forward to having this conversation. And for sure, I mean, taking that time is something that is definitely valuable in this space. So, Nelson, just before we actually get into the details of how it is that you actually, I mean, got to where you are now, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Then we can always get into the fun stuff of cybersecurity and GRC.
Okay. My name is Nelson Collins. Like you mentioned, I've worked in the, let me just put it out in the technology space for a bit of some time. I've had the opportunity to transcend different sectors, different industries, different terrains, and I've also had opportunity to take up new challenges and different challenges. I would say that it wasn't really a smooth sail, as expected, but along the line, one got used to the changing terrains and built stamina for resistance. And it's been an amazing journey. Started as a web developer, worked as a web developer. That was where the whole interest in security started breeding. I worked as a web developer for a while. And while doing that, it was like a buzz in terms of application security. So I was hearing these terms. I knew, okay, from the web perspective, how I'm supposed to create a website that is, puts factors into different security concerns to make sure it's secure. But delving into the security core itself was still just like a thought that I had in mind, But as I made progress, I noticed that it was something that would really interest me, especially coming from the part of the world. I'm from Nigeria, and we have a very amazing atmosphere. So I decided to say, you know what? I really want to understand what the cybersecurity is all about. Then I was now given the opportunity to work as a system administrator. So from web developer, I transcended to a system administrator, and then gradually I was going through the system till I was given opportunity to move into the security domain, and here we are.
Awesome. And for sure, we somewhat share that similar background in terms of starting out. So as they were actually talking, I was kind of reflecting on my journey in terms of where it started. I mean, back in the day, HTML programming, CSS, I mean, we started out when we used to use Notepad. We never had those fancy applications to write code, but it was fun days. Nevertheless, we understand ins and outs of. And it for me, it actually moved along that same, particular part. When I reflected on how I started as a computer technician, that's where my journey started. Similarly, then moving into network administration, system administration. So can you share with us in terms of, there are so many persons who are trying to get into cybersecurity, and they definitely want to maybe get that first job. They want to just hit the nail on the head, not recognizing that there are so many avenues to how it is that you actually reached to where you got to now. Can you take us along that journey in terms of, hey, you might not that hands-on cybersecurity job, but this is what you could do in the meantime?
Yeah. Okay. That's a very nice question. I know a lot of people who are interested in cybersecurity don't actually know how to start. And one very important and interesting fact is that they don't also know that there are different branches to cybersecurity. There's a technical part, and of course, there's the government risk and compliance aspect of it, which you don't really need to be a core technical person. So it now goes where to say, first, you need to understand what exactly is cybersecurity all about. What are the different tenets of cybersecurity? And then you look at yourself, where do you fit in? What is your strength? Are you a curious person? Then you can look at going towards the technical side. You want to be a SOC analyst. Now, are you someone who identifies lapses, differences? Do you know how to read in between lines? Then you look at yourself going towards the compliance regulation side, because you can be able to identify controls, be able to perform audit to show, okay, well, this control is not compliant, or we need a control here. So you need to understand the entire terrain of the cybersecurity discipline, and then carefully identify, where do I fit in? Now, when you look at where you fit in, then you can look at what resources are available for me to switch into that field. Now, myself and you may be opportuned to be able to start a career in technology. So it's not like it's a new buzzword to us. We just kind of just immediately found a way to switch in. But it doesn't matter what discipline you are. You may be in accounting, you may be in finance, you may be in X, whatever you find yourself in. The most important thing is, are you a curious person? Do you enjoy doing new things? Do you thrive in a very difficult moment where you have to make immediate but very important decisions? So once you're able to know that, then I think it's that you tick that box, and then based on what part you think you fit in, then you can begin to build the necessary skills required. Now, very important is this particular training has advanced over time, and people like you and I have made materials available out there that can give people a head start. There are YouTube videos that can help you to understand the basic concepts of all this. There are materials, that courses on, because I think you have a course on Udemy. There are amazing courses out there that can give you a head start. Once you're able to understand the basic foundation, the concept, then you can now begin to build on all these ideas. If you find yourself tilting towards the technical side, you maybe start thinking of, are there different, can I set up a home lab? Can I begin to, model this whole threat environment and see how it actually works? Because the honest truth is that one of the major challenges I notice is this, it's called, I think it's imposter syndrome, where you want to go in, but you're scared, because you feel like you don't have what it takes to really do it. But the moment you are able to give yourself that push, I give myself as an instance. I think, to be very honest with you, after switching to system administrator and getting hands-on experience, it was a daunting task, knowing fully well that I was scared of myself. I didn't know how to. That's the honest truth, because when you start thinking about cybersecurity, you start asking yourself, so what if an attack happens under my watch? What if there's a malware installed in the system? You get scared and then you pull back a bit. But the moment you are able to overcome that fear and take up the challenge and say, whatever be the situation, I would find a way to survive. Then you, of course, push yourself. But very important, self-development is really, really key. I promise you, self-development is very, very important. You have to dedicate the man at the time to really research, to learn, to build yourself. And then, of course, you would hopefully get an opportunity to try on what you've been able to put together.
Well, yes, awesome. I mean, you have actually packaged all of this in one go. I mean, it's almost like there's nothing to add to this conversation, but you're definitely on point. So definitely, I think one of the things is, as I said before, as persons are trying to navigate their way, I think one of the challenges that at times, as you have mentioned, they are trying to look at what persons have achieved, look at the various certification, look at all the accolades. And at times they are intimidated in terms of what their capabilities are. But I think it's a matter of actually taking the bull by the horn in terms of not being afraid of experimenting, trying new things, that curiosity. And I mean, when I think about yours, I've made so many mistakes. But the good thing is that I've learned. the experiments, pulling down things, the servers, the installation, playing around with, I have done so many thousands of installations. But the good thing, you will find out what works, what doesn't work. And that is how you have to have that mind of curiosity in terms of actually moving, not being afraid to take on the risk associated with learning new things. So that's a very important point that you have mentioned there.
Yeah.
So when you look at the various job roles that you have actually occupied to this point, can you share in terms of how it is that you actually found yourself in those roles and what skill set that you actually had to acquire to reach to those areas?
Okay, thank you so much for that. I've seen myself work in different sectors. I've been able to work in the security side, the operation side, and I've also now working on the GRC side. Now, I want to mention, I'm not expecting everyone to do that, but I want to mention that I have a master's in cybersecurity. So I'm not saying that you must have a master's in cybersecurity to do exactly that. But now, when I switched from system administration to, I was given the opportunity to move into the SOC role. I had a hands-on experience because I was working on different projects. But what was lacking was the foundational knowledge. I needed to understand the concept behind cryptography. What is cryptography? I needed to understand what is cyber forensics. I needed to know all these things from a theoretical perspective, so as to understand the rule set, the guides, and how to really build a solid foundation in the cybersecurity field. So that pushed me to obtain a master's in cybersecurity. But however, from the technical perspective, I knew that there are a lot of materials and different courses online that would give you exactly the knowledge I acquired from doing my master's. You can also acquire some of this knowledge by taking some of these courses. And also, there are different certifications. There are the CompTIA certifications out there. If you're looking through the operation part, you can take the Security Plus, you can take the CISA. So these ones will also give you the same knowledge that will really equip you to get to go in immediately. And if you're looking at the GRC perspective, of course, there are different certifications. There's the ones from what's it called now? OCEG. I've forgotten the name. So that was like a GRC professional. That would also give you an overall view of what exactly GRC is about, so you can understand how to, kick off the career. It will also help you, if you want, you can also make research on different, like ISO 27700. You can make research on NIST, just to have a grasp of what exactly is the whole control about. So if you need to venture into this to discipline, that is exactly what I did when I was in the security side. I went for my master's. While doing master's, the knowledge was not sufficient. That's very, very important need to mention. The knowledge was not sufficient. I had to do a lot of self-study. I had to pay for, I think, the name is CyberJA. Then I had to take a course in CyberJA. I had to pay for these resources because I knew what I wanted, and I needed to give it a head go. So I took some courses on CyberJA, built myself. I built a home lab in my house, my little computer. I had a server. I had to do all that. I would go on YouTube and learn some threat styles. I come and implement it. I built a sandbox. I activated malware. I watch how it all spreads within the system. I did all that. I tested my hands on everything. I wasn't scared to fail. Of course, if I fail, it's just going to be on my own home computer, so I'm not going to expose any special information out there. So, but that was how I did for the SOC aspects. I took courses to build the foundations. I tried my hands on different things. When it was time for GRC, I took certifications. I learned a lot. I first went on plural sites. I went on different portals to really understand the basics, to hear from industry experts, because one, I'm coming from a technical part. I'm switching into documentation. During my master's, I had course on information security management, but again, it's a high level. Now I want to get into the main thing. How do I do it? So I learned from people. Very important to have people you look up to look at them. How are they thinking? Can they mentor you? So I had to put all this in place, and that kind of helped me to push myself towards the goal. My goal is to be the Chief Information Security Officer. Of course, it's a goal of every security person. But to get there, I've been able to acquire these skills, and I'm sure that it's just a matter of time to hit the nail on that point. So I hope I answered the question. This is actually what I did to really balance all the sectors that I've been able to work in.
Sure, definitely. You have actually, spoken to that question very well. So can you share some amount of the value of networking along your career path? Because I think that for many persons, they are trying to pivot or get into cybersecurity, not recognizing that there is a fundamental value in terms of
Yeah,
actually putting yourself out there, building
yeah,
relations and networking. Can you?
yeah, yeah. Networking is a big part of the cybersecurity career. Of course, if the cybersecurity professionals, we thrive mostly on threat intelligence, which is belonging to a community, and they share information about new threats, new vulnerabilities. You get information from people. You cannot succeed in cybersecurity field if you isolate yourself, because the honest truth is people have different experiences, different way that they have handled issues. They share this knowledge, and you can only have access to this knowledge if you belong to a community. And how can you get access to a community? You have to network with people. You have to meet people. You have to learn from people. No man is an island. You can't just figure everything out yourself. Someone, trust me, someone is one step ahead of you. And the only way you can catch up is if you meet these people, attend conferences, increase your LinkedIn network. I tell you the truth, most of my successes in my field, my entire career, 60% of it is from LinkedIn. I connected with people. I asked questions. I was willing to learn. I looked out for mentors. I looked out for people that would give me a head start, that would give me a push. And every conversation that I stumbled on that was security related, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to make comments. I make sure that no matter how stupid my question was, I had to put it out there. I needed someone to tell me, okay, maybe you're not thinking right. This is the right way to think. So networking is a huge part of the whole success. You cannot succeed in this field alone. You have to rely on people. You have to rely on intelligence. You have to rely on people's experience, people's knowledge. So it's very big that you work on. After having the technical knowledge and having the whatever, also try to create the balance and have this networking part, because it's very important.
Yeah, sure. And I really like the way you actually answer those questions. One of the things that first you have to recognize that cybersecurity is very competitive. There are many opportunities, but there are more so. It requires a certain skill set. So by actually networking, building those relationships, that is how doors will be open for you as an individual. And that is where I think many cyber persons are always maybe on the introvert side in terms of actually building relationships, communicating. But these are some of the soft skills that I always impress on persons, that you need to be able to communicate, relate to persons, because when you get in an organization, it's not about zeros and ones. It goes beyond that, understanding the structure of the organization, how it is that you communicate along the verticals in the organization. So even though you have those skill set, the technical skill sets, you can pen test, you can do all of these things, but at times what prevents most persons from actually accelerating in their careers is that inefficiency in terms of networking and building the relationship that can definitely have growth.
Yeah, let me add also to that. Another very good thing that networking can do for you, especially for a beginner, is that it shows how hungry you are, how passionate you are about the field, and to a great extent, it can actually get you into the door. Because here's the thing: this technical guy who is a recruiter knows that you don't have a hands-on experience. But maybe along the line, you have posted some labs that you did on LinkedIn. Maybe you have shared some very insightful posts on LinkedIn and all that. He would see a teachable and trainable person that has zeal and interest in the field. Then he can take the risk on you by saying, you know what, this person is trainable. Let's just give him a head start. But if you have the passion, but you don't have the network, you don't have the experience, how then do you start? So it's really important that as security professionals, either you're starting or you're trying to progress into the field, that you look at big on network. I would tell you, just I would say that this is just a free ticket. That most of the cybersecurity job that I have done overseas, because I live in Lithuania right now, Most of the jobs that I've worked on overseas were gotten from LinkedIn. And some of them were from network, to be very frank with you, from network. Hey, I'm interested in this. Okay, can we have a conversation? And we have a conversation. Oh, you have great skills. You have great knowledge. I think we really want to work with you. And then it happens. You don't get that. It doesn't happen all the time. So if you're able to build the right network, have to communicate with the right people, and they see your passion, your hunger for the field itself, how you're willing to want to help people with your knowledge, trust me, you'll get a shot.
Sure, spot on. And I can actually attest to that. Getting out there is very important. I mean, within the next few minutes, after I finish this, amazing conversation, we could always go on and on. This is one of the things I was contacted by persons who in other places in the world that I never thought about in terms of actually working with them on a various project right now to actually bring them through a number of programs. So I was saying that many of the opportunities that I have actually gone through in terms of my job experience has never been through a direct resume application. It's always been through building those relationships, being prepared. Persons, reach out to me to say, hey, I know of a guy who is always there. He knows this. Can you ask him about this? And that is how we share information about persons. So I always tell persons about the power of getting yourself out there. And for sure, and that is one of the main reasons why, this is a pre-release anyhow. I'm actually at the closing point of actually pushing out a fully developed course that speaks to all of these issues, because one of the things is that there are information out there on YouTube and all of these places, but finding that fully structured, curated course that speaks to getting into cybersecurity from a practical perspective is one of those things that many persons continues to reach out to me. So that is something that I look forward to. So can you share those final points in terms of that key thing that you would want to share before we actually conclude our
conversation? Okay. Yes, I would say that my closing remark would be that it's not difficult to get into cybersecurity. It may look difficult from outside, but it's a very interesting and really progressing career, right? And I think there's a statistic that says the demand of cybersecurity professionals is higher than the available skill set. So there's a huge demand that needs people to fill it. So if you think that you have the passion to get into this career, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your knowledge, forget about mathematics. There's no mathematics here. Irrespective of all the limitations that you think exist, put them down and give it a shot. Now, Richie, you've talked about having a very informative material that you're working on that would help people start their career. That is going to be a go-to resource. Get the right foundational knowledge. Learn about different, you don't even need to bother yourself with the big terminologies. Just learn the foundation. Satisfy your curiosity by meeting people, building the network, and take up any little challenge available there, and just build yourself. Before you know, you will be given that opportunity. You can actually start maybe as a support specialist. Start somewhere, but don't forget about the big vision. Keep building yourself, keep learning, keep networking with people, and I'm sure the right opportunity will come for you, and you'll be given the shot to really try your hands on exactly cybersecurity. Don't forget, cybersecurity is not just the technical aspect. There's GRC, there's auditing, there's compliance. There are amazing parts that you would find interesting if you think the technical aspect is not your call.
Nelson, what better way to end this conversation? It was indeed a awesome conversation, and we could continuously go on. I like the energy. So it was indeed a pleasure having you on this podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to another episode where we can, of course, have an amazing conversation like today.
Sure, definitely. I too will look forward to it. So everyone, until then, stay tuned, stay connected for all future recordings on the CyberJA podcast with me, your host, Richard Perry.